Hey, everybody. This is Andrea Paquette. I am CEO and co founder of Stigma-Free Mental Health Society. I am so happy you can join us for our Stigma-Free Voices podcast, where we interview inspiring guests, experts in the field of mental health, or people with lived experience, people who are truly passionate about making a difference. And I'm so happy, thrilled, and excited to have Sach with us today. Sach, where are you coming in from? Just let the viewers know.
I'm coming in from South Surrey, White Rock, British Columbia.
Nice. Perfect. Well, I'm excited to have you here today because we're going to talk about all the things that make you tick, all the
Okay.
things that you've done for mental health, for the cause and the inspiration behind it. So I'm very excited to dig in, and I thought I could just share your bio, and then we can get into some pretty fun questions. Does that sound good with you?
Yeah, it's perfect. Let's go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Sachin Lat, is it Latti? I always get this wrong.
Latti's fine. It works.
Latti,
Yeah, it's good.
perfect.
Yeah.
Spent 20 years as a Canada Border Services Agency officer before the weight of that work caught up with him. What followed, depression, anxiety, and a long climb back, became the foundation of everything he does now, which is pretty amazing. We've gotten to know each other over the last little while, and I learned in 2025, Sachin became the first South Asian to run coast to coast across Canada, 3,700 kilometers from St. John's to Victoria in 81 days, averaging 50K a day with only 9 rest days. The run raised more than 300K for mental health causes and generated over 5,000 conversations in 55 communities along the way. Recognized by Canada's House of Commons and featured on Global, CTV, CP24, and in the Toronto Sun, Sachin now speaks to organizations across the country about resilience, recovery, and building cultures where people can be honest about what they're carrying. And the run may be finished, but the work isn't. So, Sachin, you spent 2 decades serving Canadians as a Canada Border Services Agency officer. And was there a specific moment when you realized the weight of that work had become too much to carry on your own?
Mm, I don't know if there was a specific moment, but I think the last 4 years of my career was really when I was struggling. It really happened, I'd say around 2019, 2020 is when I really started feeling it.
Yeah.
And it was more so a culmination of work across a lifetime that kind of um, came to a head around that time. So it wasn't a specific moment to answer your
Mm,
question. It was just a culmination of many things over life that, was dealing with stressful things in 2019, 2020, and work was somewhat stressful at the time because of the pandemic and various things were kind of happening in the workplace that it just became a bit too much. And
mm,
so it wasn't one thing, it was just a bunch of things.
mhm. So many first responders and frontline professionals are taught to be tough, right? So, how has your definition of strength changed since experiencing depression, anxiety? And if you could bring us into the story of that, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so excuse me. I'm not sure if we're taught to be tough.
Mhm.
We're taught to be professional. We're taught to have a presence. We're taught to do those types of things. So tough, I'm not sure if we're taught to be that.
Mm,
I think what happens is over time we have to find ways to for ourselves to navigate challenging circumstances. And what that does over time, at least for me, put up a wall, which might seem like I'm tough. And because you're making decisions every single day that have life altering ramifications for either
mm,
yourself or other people. And I kind of equate it to, let's say, an ER doctor or a surgeon, right? Like, at times those doctors have circumstances where their patient doesn't survive. And so, but you hear stories about how they're interacting with the patient's family, and it's cold, it's straight, and is that tough? Well, I don't know. I think that's just probably a way for them to cope, to be able to have that conversation so
mm,
they don't break down. So I think I think there's a bit of nuance there. I think, the experiences in the workplace create an environment where you have to function and still do your job. And there's better ways to do it. My way of doing it wasn't probably the best way, and, kind of being shut off emotionally. So
Mhm.
anyways, that's kind of, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah.
And the second part of the question, can you repeat it again?
Yeah, I just wondered if you could take us through the story. So you were serving as a Canada Border Services Agency officer. Life was going along. You did that for a long time. What is the story behind the realization that this just wasn't working for you anymore and it brought you burnout, etc.? If you could share a little bit about how your mental health journey really began.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to go back a long ways, but
Yeah.
I think it really started. I think I've always struggled with anxiety and depression most of my life, and I didn't think that's what I was struggling with. I just lived my life without
Mm,
realizing that I was reacting and responding and feeling certain things. And when I got into the workplace over a number of years, I kind of just did my thing and worked until I started dealing with my own personal issues. I was going through a separation and a divorce,
mm,
and that precipitated me to reflect on, okay, what kind of person am I? Because I wasn't the greatest husband, and I wanted to do better moving forward. And so then that kind of was happening around 2019, 2020. And then the pandemic kicks off in around
mm,
that time. So that created more sort of strife for me because I was becoming more isolated
mhm,
and less connected with people around me. And then the workplace, because the pandemic, we had a lot of stress because the flow of people wasn't coming in, but we had to figure out how to do our schedules so that we could still be operational and not
mm,
shut down the entire airport. And so I was dealing with a lot of that. And, I was a chief steward in my workplace. So I was also dealing with, managing senior management and then also discipline for officers. Like a whole bunch of things were kind of all at the same time,
yeah.
and I didn't really have any coping tools. And so what I started feeling, I didn't know what was happening. Like I was a guy who wouldn't break down, I wouldn't cry, and my main emotions at the time were probably like anger, and that was pretty much it. I was an angry dude,
Yeah.
and I didn't really know why because I never really reflected much on it. And in the workplace, things were just kind of spiraling to a degree where I couldn't even interact properly with my colleagues. I couldn't interact properly even with the traveling public. And I
Mm,
could tell something was wrong because I was I could easily like cry at a drop of a hat, and I'm like, what is going on here? I
mm,
really didn't understand what was happening.
yeah.
And I had my daughter at the time was about 2, and I was also having struggles like even interacting with her. So everything was really stressful for me, every interaction. And I thought, okay, man, something's wrong, and I need to start figuring out what that is, and start going down that path.
Hmm. So what was to come next for you?
A lot of introspection, a,
Hmm.
a lot of
Yeah.
reflecting, and and really understanding or trying to understand what is happening. And so I went to go get medical treatment. I went to see a psychologist quite regularly. I saw my physician where he officially diagnosed me with major depressive disorder,
Mm,
and which was I was kind of happy, to be honest, because I was like, oh, okay, well now I kind of know what's up. I can, if I know what maybe my issue is, I can maybe start addressing it and figuring out how to unpack what's going on. And it was basically just deep diving in that. And then at
mm,
the same time, I'm a fairly active person, and at the time, my coping mechanisms were very limited. It was either go to the gym or go to the jujitsu mats or have a drink. And
mm,
for me at the time, the fitness aspects were kind of limited because of the lockdowns. So I couldn't really do what would normally help me.
yeah.
And then I also said, okay, well, right now is probably not a good time to drink, and so I made a commitment to myself not to drink. So because I knew if I started really drinking, it would have really gotten even worse.
Mm,
I could just feel that's where I was at. And so I was just started reading. I started watching podcasts, and more so on like how to do life better, and
Yeah.
how to think better. So like various different things on YouTube, and just various different books. And from there, I just thought, man, I gotta take control of my life somehow, because I felt like I had no control over anything. Everything was unraveling. And the only thing most of my life, I reverted to where I could control was myself and physical activity. And I thought, okay, well, what can I do that's physical? And it was running. And
Mm.
to put it in perspective, I wasn't a runner, hadn't ran since I was in high school. At the time I started running, I was 42. And I was a lot bigger than I am now. Like, I was fairly more muscular, so it wasn't like a natural kind of transition to start running.
Mm.
And then I thought, okay, man, what's the worst that could happen? Let me just start doing this and see if it helps. And then I started running, and small amounts, very little. But for me, what it did for me was gave me some direction or a focus, something to like kind of put my mind to. And
Mhm.
and I just really dove deeper there. And within 9 months, I was running a decent amount. Not amazing, not fast or nothing, but just I was getting it done. And then I started seeing how it was helping me regulate my emotions. I could see how it was making me, when I was really feeling a major anxiety attack, or even depression or something that was really affecting me, I'd go for a run, and an hour or 2 hours later, I'd feel a little bit better.
Mm.
And so I thought, okay, man, maybe let me lean into this. And I kept doing it. And then I thought, if it's helping me in this kind of way, maybe I can leverage what I'm doing to help other people. And that's what kind of started everything that I've been doing over the last 5 years.
Amazing. And you often say running didn't just transform your body, but it saved your life in many ways. And I was wondering what is it about running that succeeded so successfully as your best, most amazing coping mechanism? Like why? What was it about it?
I think there's a few things.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, for me, running is really, really hard. It's
Yeah.
really hard. It's really hard for me. I'm not really good at it. I still don't think I'm really great at it. I'm just consistent. And but it's really hard, right? Number one. And number two, it gave me time to think, because my mind was racing so much. Like, it was just so much going through my head. Like, I kind of call it the white noise. It was at volume 10.
Mm.
And after a run, it would just bring the volume down. And so it expends that extra energy that I needed. And I'm a type of person that needs to, if I'm just sitting around watching TV or even just reading a book or whatever, it's not enough. I need to do something. Otherwise, I can start becoming, I don't want to say self-destructive, but my mind can race in certain kind of ways. And
Mhm.
so the running started that process of me, like, doing something really, really, really hard. And then what that ended up kind of doing, like a downward stream effect of that, was I knew it was really hard. And then when I would finish a run, I'd feel proud of myself. And so after doing a run super hard, being proud of myself, that started helping with my self-worth. Because ultimately, I think I had a self-worth, a self-esteem issue that I presented like I didn't, but I absolutely did have those issues.
Mm.
And so that's number two. And then number three, ultimately, what it did was it helped me connect with other people. And so I could have conversations with like-minded individuals who are doing really challenging things, and I could relate to it. And so I think running as a vehicle like that, I think that's how it helped me, and I think that's how it's really beneficial for other people.
Mhm.
Everyone has their own paces, and how fast, and whatnot, but it's not really about, for me, it's not really about racing. It's not about how fast I can go. It's just about me going out there, seeing what I'm capable of, and then
Mhm.
observing myself do something, and then connecting with other people while I'm doing it.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm trying to picture, like, we've talked so much and we know, the 81 days and running an average of 50K, like, but how did it begin? Like, where's the story around, okay, before day one, like, did you meet somebody important, or what was the runway before that? Like, how did you decide, okay, this is what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna run across Canada for
Yeah,
mental health.
it was a 5-year process. I
Yeah.
knew in 2020, this is how I guess this is the type of person I am. I like to reverse engineer things from the top. And so for me, in 2020, I hadn't ran a 5K race in my life. Like I haven't even done
Wow.
anything. And I thought, man, I'm going to run across Canada without even doing anything. I hadn't even ran a 5K. So I didn't even know what I was really saying to myself. Like I was just saying,
Mm.
I'm going to do this thing. And then for me, fortunately for me, I've competed in other types of things before, like in bodybuilding and in jujitsu. And I had a rough idea of how to be disciplined and consistent with an effort over a period of time to achieve a goal. And so for me, I was just typically when I would do that, it would be like, oh, jujitsu tournament, it's 8 weeks away. Okay, I'll prepare for that. Or if it's a bodybuilding competition I wanted to do, I usually would prepare a year in advance, right? So then prepare for that. So I just thought, okay, well, this is a 5 year build. I'll just build over 5 years because I gave myself a 5 year sort of runway to be able to achieve the goal. And now I didn't really realize how hard it would be. That's how naive I was. But
Yeah.
what I ended up doing was just really I first couple years I started doing challenges. You know, one year I did 100 kilometers to raise money for PTSD programs for veterans and first responders. And through that challenge, I learned how to achieve a certain running style. And that first challenge was 100 kilometers. I ran 100 kilometers, 15 hours, raised 21,000 for
Wow.
veterans and first responders. And then I thought, okay, cool, man. I can see, you know, when you set a goal like that, you start learning on how to achieve that smaller goal. And then when I achieved that smaller goal, I set a bigger task or a bigger goal, and then I would, you know, create a plan towards that and achieve it. And I'd learn a whole bunch of different things. And so year after year, I would do that. First year was the 100 kilometers. The second year, I was training was 9 ultra marathons in 9 months, and an ultra marathon's 50K or more in one race. And in that year, I raised $16,000. And the year after that, I ran 22 consecutive marathons across British Columbia, Revelstoke to Victoria, which is just over 1,000 kilometers in 22 days, and raised approximately 20,000 in those 22 days.
Mhm.
And then the year after that, I ran 60 kilometers a day for 2 months. So it's 3,600 kilometers and raised 25,000. And through all of those challenges, I'm obviously learning. I'm learning how do I do it? How do I communicate better? How do I have conversations as I connect with people as I'm running? How do I do social media? How do I do this? How do I do all these different things that I'm learning to help
Yeah.
for that ultimate goal, which is 2025. And so really it was a 5 year process of learning how to speak, how to fundraise, how to connect, how to do podcasts, how to do social media, and how to run. And in 2025, I was on this path of like, okay, man, I got to figure out how I'm going to run across Canada. It costs money. I don't have any. So how we going to do this? And then I started doing outreach, connecting with various different people that believed in what I was doing,
Mhm.
and created a team around it. Got some fund investors, funders, whatever you want to call it, and they supported the mission that laid out, and then built a team. And June 16th of 2025, I started in Victoria, and we tried to make it across the country, and we eventually did 81 days later.
Wow. Unimaginable. No, just absolutely amazing. And I was wondering too, like you're going through this process and it's, say you're in the middle of that 81 days. And were there any like mental battles that people watching from the outside never saw during that time?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to be as transparent as I could, but obviously not everyone's seeing everything, right?
Yeah.
Every day, man. Every freaking day was hard.
Yeah.
Every day. There were days I was crying. There was days I was in physical pain. There were days where, you know, we weren't getting the donations that was expecting, that I thought we should be having, and that would mess with my head. And what are we doing wrong? How are we not doing? Because my focus really wasn't the run. My focus was to raise awareness and funds. That was my entire focus.
Yeah.
And I think I was just crossing the border of uh, I think Manitoba into Ontario, and it was just like it was like that western part of Ontario is so big, right?
Yeah.
And it was really hot and humid and bugs everywhere. And I think it was I was just leaving Sudbury, actually. It was just outside of Sudbury. I was leaving. I was running on the highway, and I was looking at how much we had got donated, and I was like so upset. It wasn't like what I was anticipating by that time that we would have been at. And I was just like, man, what am I doing wrong? How did I mess this up? Like, people don't seem to care. Like, all these different thoughts were going through my head.
Yeah.
And it was just me and a buddy, my buddy Glenn, and it was really hard because I was really beating myself up in those moments. And what I did was I just made a post. Got my phone out, started talking, and I was just like, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on. Um, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. If anyone can make some suggestions, let me know. Maybe I'll do it better." And then that's kind of how I did the run. It wasn't, oh, look at me, I'm running. I'm this guy. It's okay, I'm doing this run for this reason. And how do we create awareness and connect with people and raise funds together? And that
Hmm.
was kind of the energy behind it. But so to answer your question, yeah, man, every day. I remember the last day in St. John's, I'm running towards I was running towards Cape Spear. It's the final day in St. John's. It's the most eastern part of North America. And my body was beat up at this point. I had probably lost about 25 pounds. I'm normally about 185 pounds, 5'8" ish. I was probably about 160 pounds at this point. And I had so before I even started the run across Canada, I already had hip bursitis in my right hip, which is inflammation and doesn't feel good. And
Yeah.
by the time I got to the end, it was really hard to run. I had this something called Haglund's deformity in my left ankle, which is basically like built up calcification on the back of my heel, which looks like a huge ball on the back of it that connects into the tendon, and which limited movement as well, and also was causing pain every single day. And so that was where I was in the last day. And I remember the last 500 meters was, it was like getting dark now. The last 500 meters, and people were there at the final spot at Cape Spear, and I was like, okay, man, I got last 500 meters. Let's see how fast I can go right now. And I just pushed as much as I could. It was really painful, but this is what it showed me.
Yep.
No matter how beat up you are,
Mhm.
emotionally, spiritually, physically, whatever it is, you still have another gear. Because that last 500 meters, I ran pretty fast, and I had some friends around me, and they couldn't keep up.
Mhm.
And I ran up a hill. If anyone's been to Cape Spear, there's a lighthouse facing towards the east. It's at the top of a hill, and I was like, I want to finish there. And so I ran all the way there, and then I got to the lighthouse where there were steps leading up to the lighthouse. And I started walking up, and if you see, I have videos of it, and if people see that video, you could see that it's kind of labored me walking up the stairs. And as soon as I touched the lighthouse, my watch signified that I had just finished 50 kilometers. Just
Um,
right at the moment I touched it.
wow.
So yeah, there were days that didn't feel good, days that felt um meaningful,
Hmm.
and but not one day did I feel like it was easy.
Yeah. No, I bet I couldn't even imagine. I wouldn't be able to get through 10K. So I am so in awe of you for doing this. And not just for the run itself, but all the conversations that you must have had along the way and being authentic in, those videos on social media, getting people talking. Was there a specific like one conversation that really stood out to your heart during this entire process? I'm sure there are many, but is there one that you wanted to share?
Yeah, like you said, there were many, and there were many ones because
Yeah.
I remember all of them because they were so meaningful and impactful. I mean, in Alberta, when I was running towards Calgary, I was taking a break on the side of the road, and a middle-aged elderly guy on a motorcycle was on the opposite side of the road and saw the RV, and it said mental health, and I guess he must have looked up online and kind of saw what we were doing, and he stopped on the side of the road, and it looked like he had some physical ailments, like he could walk and everything, but like you could see that it was a bit labored, and he came across the street to see me, and he gave us $200. He was like, here, he donated 200 bucks, and I
Oh,
was like, what's that for, man? Like, you don't have to. Like, it's all good, man. We're just doing the thing. And if you want to make the donation, here's your. We gave receipts and everything on the road too. And he said, look, man, my son took his life last year, and what you're doing matters, and I appreciate what you're doing. So this is going towards what you're doing.
Mm.
And not little stories like that happened every single day. I
Mhm.
remember in Kelowna, British Columbia, running to Kelowna, and a family in Kelowna reached out to us and asked us if we could stop by at a baseball diamond that day. And at that baseball diamond, why they were asking us to come there is because the family had I guess there was a coach, a baseball coach, and he was a coach of a little league team, and teenagers, young kids, young boys. And this coach was an avid baseball fan, all over the like, just really put his everything into the coaching of the kids. It was his 1 year anniversary of when he took his life, and
Mm.
the family reached out and said it would be amazing if you could come out here and spend some time because we love what you're doing, and we'd want to be able to just commemorate his 1 year anniversary, and if you could talk to some of the kids. I was like, of course. So I took a rest day that day. We weren't even scheduled to do one, and I took a rest day that day just to spend time there. And when we got there, it was just, he was a husband. He had kids. He had a mother, father. He had an older brother, and all of them were there, and they're all touched. And it was very emotional for us because we kicked off from Victoria, and that was really the first kind of real interaction of the impact in Kelowna, where a family saw what we were doing and wanted us to be part of what they were doing. And for me, that kind of floored me, because I'm a guy who really constantly is moving forward with my head down,
Mm.
and this run across Canada helped me um, learn how to pick my head up sometimes to see
Mhm.
what's going on around me.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of stories like that one.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful. And I did see the video for that actually. And I have to say, I love what you're saying about like lifting your head up, looking around. There's so many people. We want connection, we want belonging, and we have to support each other. And you did a lot of that on that run. So it's amazing. And the run is finished, but the work isn't. And you've said this. So what's the next chapter of your mission, Sach? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's to continue what I'm doing, but maybe in different types of ways. I learned a lot over the last 5 years, and I just want to be able to share what I've learned and the impacts that I've learned with other people, and really with communities that are might be struggling various different types of ways, mental health related. So I got a podcast right now called the Long Run Podcast, where we share stories and have conversations with various different communities. Right now, we're doing some stories on veterans and first responders, and sharing their stories and the successes. I still continue going into the community, speaking with various different groups. I'm still running. I still do some running, and I connect with people through running still. I'm officially today, I just got the notification. I'm the ambassador for Run Surrey Run. So it's a 5 and 10K race in Surrey. That's the only running event in Surrey that's here. And so that's September 12th. So I'll be going there to connect with community and having conversations, and yeah, just you know, I mean, it's so many different things, like connecting with you, having conversations with you to see how we can collaborate together to impact people in a positive way. Um, I'm just this is kind of I've officially retired from the CBSA and
Yeah.
earlier this year, and so really my whole focus is continuing what I do, but scaling it in a way that impacts people at a maybe a larger way. I
Yeah.
don't know. Actually, that's not the right way to say it. I think a better way to say it was like I'm 48, right? And I'll keep running, I'll keep training, but I also want to find other ways to help people, not just by running.
Yeah.
And I
Maybe
feel like,
sustainable way, right?
yeah, a sustainable way over time. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm doing, just in that, just helping wherever I can, and wherever people think they can see some value for me, I'll be there.
Yeah. And we're so excited at Stigma-Free Mental Health Society, partner with you, explore ways to, do so many things together. I always feel like when I first started my journey as the bipolar babe way back in 2009 and starting the original charity with a wonderful group of people, it's very organic, isn't it? And so, especially with our mental health advocacy, things will come to us. And long as we, keep putting that foot forward and looking up, right?
Absolutely. Listen, if you're moving in the right direction, one thing I've learned is that I'm okay with the uncertainty of the future now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't, like, as long as I am who I am and I do positive things, I do good work, and I have my heart in the right direction, the outcome will be good no matter what the outcome is. And so I kind of just lean into that.
Amazing. Any last words for perhaps somebody who's watching, maybe struggling with anxiety, depression, or maybe feeling lonely? Is there anything that you can say?
Yeah, I know right now it might seem challenging and hard, and I can relate to how that feels. And but know that there's always a solution to whatever you're feeling. And the solution sometimes isn't within yourself. Solution is, especially with these types of emotions and feelings, is with solution is connecting with others, and having a positive mindset. So if you're having some issues, please reach out. I mean, you can drop me a DM if you want. I'm sure you can drop a DM over Andrea's way. I'm sure she's always willing to listen. There's always someone there. Find somebody you can connect with, and make it happen.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Sach. It was so wonderful to have you on today. I've been looking forward to this podcast for quite some time. And yeah, so thank you.
No, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And honestly, from since we met the last few months, our conversations have been great. And I remember the first time we connected over coffee in Vancouver. I felt that there was synergy, and I appreciate your time and I appreciate your efforts. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. If you are watching after the fact on Facebook or LinkedIn and you've come across Spotify, please do share. We would really appreciate spreading the word that it's important to take care of ourselves, but also for all of us to take care of each other. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and we appreciate you tremendously. And remember, we can all live stigma-free. Thank you.